I think one of my favorite aspects about Doctor's character is how sexual she is with almost every remark. Some of it's very blunt and in your face, and you don't really need to think about what she's implying, but other times she says things like talking about being split in half as her butt is facing the camera, and you're like, oh, Doctor, you kinky, kinky girl. You gotta love the characters in this show. They're just fun. It's not necessarily about insane character development during this mission. It's about this is their insane personality and let's watch chaos unfold as each episode is named after a famous movie. In this case, we have Speed, and you can just kind of look at it at very surface level. You can read the synopsis of Speed and then look at what this episode entailed, and you can kind of understand where the reference came from, which is kind of brilliant. I actually like how they're tying into those references rather than it just being a fun movie reference. It actually feels like there's substance behind said reference, which I really like. The price behind the vault, though, I have to say I didn't see coming. I thoroughly believed it was like a piece of technology of some sort. I didn't think it was money because clearly the Black Cat had money. If you're paying billions of dollars to these people like it's chump change, it just knew more than it was letting on. Money didn't seem like a likely priority, but then again, you could probably argue that if there was a lot of money in the vault, then that's how they would get paid. So you could argue that, but personally my money was on something more technological that would put Black Cat ahead of everyone else, maybe not need a hacker, maybe not need a brawler, things like that. I can safely say I've yet to see anyone, at least in my comment section, predict that Black Cat himself was inside the vault alongside sister, girlfriend, not sure exactly, most likely sibling, and they clearly have some abilities. The biggest question is why are they being transported like literally treasure? You don't put two humans inside a vault unless there's a reason to separate them because maybe they have ridiculous power. I mean, the girl seemingly did some whistle thing that looks really shield barrier-ish, so I'm not sure if she has some sort of abilities that other people just don't in this universe. At the end of the day, it definitely changes everything because I was thinking to myself that they weren't going to succeed in getting the vault, and that's why this was a 12-episode anime. Because going into episode 4, if they were able to secure the vault, are they just going to get another mission? Because once they get this payday, there's no reason for them to continue unless they really are hungry for money, because how are you going to blow through the amount of money you're getting paid for this mission after you complete it? There's absolutely no way, even if you try to literally toss money off the highest floor of your building, you're still going to have more money than you'll ever need. So by giving it a more intriguing plotline, I feel like this is about to give the entire story a recoat of paint, and it's going to change everything that we look at it. I think the past 2 episodes did a great job at separating the cast and giving everyone their moments to shine, because you can argue in the first couple of episodes, it doesn't feel like everyone gets an equal spotlight. Characters like Hacker or Doctor really didn't have their moments to really feel as important as someone like Courier or Swindler or Brawler, even Hoodlum to an extent. So to have last week and now this week's episode, by separating the cast and not letting Black Cat's kind of like team pairings always work out, in this case it was supposed to be Brawler and Cutthroat going up against the Executioners, but what ended up happening was it was actually Courier and Brawler and a little bit of Doctor as well, because Cutthroat was more interested in Swindler and he only got involved once Swindler was actually in danger. So it's nice to have those moments because it really does let them feel more important than just their goofy or insane personality. As much as you can look at some of the dialogue as just being like, this is here to make us laugh, at the end of the day you can't deny that without each character at this point in time, the chemistry of the cast wouldn't be nearly as fun. Hacker probably has the biggest turn of character in my honest opinion, because it seemed to me that he was just an intelligent hacker episodes 1 and 2. But this week's episode really puts into focus, especially combined with last week, how much of a gamer this guy is. He used hacking as the best video game you can play. Talking about crane games, or this is the final boss, or this is a secret level. I really like that characteristic about him because it makes him feel more personal. It feels like he's actually a person rather than just, yet again, another intelligent hacker. Characters like Doctor, I mean, she kind of seemed like that psychotic character who can have her head cut off or her neck slit and she'll patch it right back up. Technically kind of gives away the point of death, because even when characters like Brawler in this episode get stabbed, you know Doctor's gonna save him. So at the end of the day, you could probably argue Doctor might be the most obvious either traitor or character to get killed in this show. It's nice to have her, at least as of right now, because she is a wild personality, and her banter with Courier, I absolutely adore in this episode. Especially considering how, like, when he's driving his bike, he's talking about how she's weighing him down. And just the little banters, those little moments really do kind of stick out to me like a sore thumb, but in a good sense, because it's something that's really in your face, you can't look away, and you just really appreciate their additions. The whole idea of the traitors, though, I have to say, I think many of us are looking at Swindler right now because she seemingly is the most normal, and she's doing things like She has ridiculous aim and throwing. Like in last week, she was able to do something that you would think Cutthroat could do, but honestly, how would an ordinary person do it? And I firmly believe she is a traitor, but at the end of the day, there's probably two. Because we remember in the little children's programming that each episode has to kind of further flesh out the world and environment, last week they did mention usually there's two. So who could be the second if they are going that route? A lot of people are looking at characters like Hoodlum, because Hoodlum's, once again, how does he really fit into the equation when he is the most ordinary? Why would Black Cat keep him around? A lot of people are saying it could be Doctor, or I think it's honestly Courier. And this is a weird one for me, and I don't have anything to overly back it off on, because you'd think if there's two traitors they would know each other. But I honestly feel like when they initially met, when they were getting that food and then she ended up getting arrested, what if Courier as well as Swindler just didn't know they were going to be working on the same mission, and by the time they realized it, they had to keep up the act or something like that, or maybe they don't even know each one of them is. Because just some of the things that Courier does, the way he's so stone cold, the fact that he went back to get his bike, he knew he needed the bike for the mission. How did he know that? Like, what's the overall importance to Courier for the objective? Because up until now, I would argue, besides that one part of the first part of the mission with his bike, what has he really done that's needed? Similar to Swindler, why are they needed? How do they get involved in this mission? I firmly believe it could be Swindler as well as Courier, but obviously this is just speculation. You can argue any of these characters being a traitor, and you could make a justifiable argument. It's just watching these two characters and how, especially Swindler in this episode, how unfazed an ordinary person is with the attempt of trying to steal cargo. You can argue that, well, she wants to stay alive, so that's why she has to get serious, but it feels like she blends in so easily, and at this point you couldn't even argue she's an ordinary person. She fits in just as well as any of the insanity that we see. I could honestly argue Courier's the most normal out of them so far. Sure, he does have this insane action, but it doesn't feel like a criminal like the rest of them. So I'm curious. If there's going to be two, there's going to be one. If there's going to be none, who knows? All I can say is, if you were to ask me who I think the traitors could be right now, Courier and Swindler. I don't think they know each of the other is a traitor. Maybe there's two separate traitors, there's two separate divisions, I don't know, but I'm excited because what if they're both executioners and we just didn't even know? But then again, you could argue also that, I mean, why would an executioner try to kill another executioner in this episode? But maybe there's more than meets the eye, and I think as these programs start to brew and as we see more children's programming, we're gonna piece together the traitor more and more, and I think that's a really fun way to keep it interesting, because episodes 1 and 2, you can't really argue there's anything overly complex with the narrative. It's a big criminal mission, and it's fun, don't get me wrong. But episodes 3 and 4 definitely are starting to get it to be more complex and more intriguing, and if they keep it up, I could see by the end of episode 12 having something that's really plot-driven, even though it's insanely fun, insanely fast-paced, and really have it stick the landing. I have to say, like, visually, I love what they're doing with the action. This was majority action, and a lot of characters got their spotlight and time to shine. I love the slow-mo kind of like zoom-in, highly detailed artifact that they'll do, like when a character's getting their signature move in a piece of the battle, they'll slow it down, you get that slow-mo. It's just high quality imagery and it looks beautifully done. And then when you get the kind of fisticuffs or the lasers or the swords and things like that, it's very smooth, very vibrant. But I would honestly argue the star of this episode in terms of production was the soundtrack. The soundtrack is glorious beyond belief. But I find that the way the music is incorporating itself with the actual fights, it feels like there's this harmony. It feels like when the beats are dropping, it almost feels each punch is synced up with a drop in the beat or something increases. And it feels as if it's not just like, oh, here's a fun piece of music, we're going to slap it on this fight scene. It almost feels to me like the animators used that soundtrack in mind to make it sync up with the music, because it feels so perfectly timed and executed that it really brings out such a beautiful and complex and action-packed atmosphere. This was just a great episode. It was fun, it was action-packed, and the end of the episode completely changes where the last 2/3 of this anime could go, and who knows, maybe they're dividing it into like 3 parts. Every 4 episodes is like a story arc, and honestly, with the pacing and structure they're going, I could see it working quite well. But let me know your thoughts and feelings and definitely your theories down below. Who do you think could be the traitors, and what do you think the end of the episode means for the future? If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like to show your support and hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new around here. So until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.